Oh man, I don't know. I wouldn't deign to give anybody advice other than I just try to listen and be helpful. I mean, ultimately, it's about building self-esteem because 99% of the decisions they make, you're not going to be there.
Right.
Matt Damon is one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but his most important role has nothing to do with movies. He's a proud father to 4 beautiful daughters who are all growing up to be absolutely gorgeous.
Our 26-year-old has, Lucy and I just loved. And to see that she's making those kinds of choices, it's as good as it gets.
The alternative would be very upsetting.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
From a chance meeting in a Miami nightclub to building a family of 6, Matt's journey into fatherhood is truly heartwarming. How did a famous actor end up raising 4 girls? What's it like being the only guy in a house full of women? Join us as we explore the touching story of Matt Damon's beautiful family. How Matt and Luciana met. Back in 2003, Matt Damon was already a massive Hollywood star, but he was still searching for something that money and fame couldn't buy. That something turned out to be someone, and he found her in the most unexpected place possible. While filming a movie in Miami, Matt decided to blow off some steam at a local nightclub. He had no idea that this random night out would change his entire life forever. The nightclub was packed with people, and as you might expect, Matt started getting recognized pretty quickly. Fans were approaching him left and right, asking for autographs and photos. It was turning into a bit of a circus, and Matt just wanted to have a normal night out, like any regular person. So he did what any sensible person would do when they're being mobbed by fans. He hid behind the bar. That's where he first laid eyes on Luciana Barroso. She was working as a bartender that night, serving drinks and chatting with customers like it was just another shift. Luciana was originally from Argentina, and she was living a completely normal life in Miami. She wasn't an actress, model, or anyone connected to the entertainment industry. She was just a regular working woman, trying to make a living. When Matt ducked behind the bar to escape the growing crowd, Luciana noticed him right away. She wasn't the type to be starstruck, even though she definitely knew who he was. Instead of fawning over him or asking for an autograph, she basically told him that if he was going to be back there taking up space, he might as well make himself useful. She wasn't going to let some celebrity just stand around while she did all the work. Matt thought this was hilarious. Here he was, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and this bartender was putting him to work. But he didn't mind at all. In fact, he loved it. He told Luciana that he had actually trained as a bartender years earlier for a movie role, so he knew his way around making drinks. She took him up on the offer, and just like that, Matt Damon spent the rest of his night working behind a bar in Miami. The two of them worked side by side for hours, mixing drinks and serving the growing crowd of people. The funny thing was that having Matt Damon behind the bar actually brought in way more customers than usual. Word spread quickly that a famous actor was making drinks, and people started lining up just to get served by him. Luciana later joked that she made some seriously good tips that night, thanks to her unexpected celebrity coworker. When the night finally wound down and the club started to empty out, Matt didn't want the evening to end. He asked Luciana if she wanted to go out somewhere, maybe grab a bite to eat or continue hanging out. Most people would have jumped at the chance to spend more time with a famous actor, but Luciana surprised him by saying no. She explained that she had to get home because she had a 4-year-old daughter waiting for her. She had a babysitter watching her child, and she needed to get back. This response could have been a deal-breaker for some people, but for Matt, it had the complete opposite effect. Instead of being disappointed or discouraged, he was actually more attracted to Luciana because of it. He loved that she was a mother, and that her daughter was her top priority. He respected that she wasn't willing to abandon her responsibilities just to spend time with him, no matter how famous he was. She had her priorities straight, and family clearly meant everything to her. Before they parted ways that night, Matt made sure to get Luciana's phone number. He wasn't about to let this amazing woman slip away. They started dating shortly after that memorable night at the club, and their relationship grew stronger with each passing day. After dating for 2 years, Matt and Luciana decided to make things official. They got married in 2005 in a private ceremony, and they've been together ever since. That chance encounter behind a Miami bar turned into a love story that has lasted for decades. What Matt didn't realize that night was that falling in love with Luciana meant becoming an instant father figure to her young daughter. This little girl would soon become the first of 4 daughters who would completely transform his life in ways he never imagined possible. Alexia Barroso, the eldest daughter. When Matt Damon married Luciana Barroso in 2005, he didn't just gain a wife. He instantly became a father to a 6-year-old girl named Alexia. She had been born back in 1999 during Luciana's previous marriage to a man named Arbello Barroso. For Matt, this was completely new territory. He had never been a parent before, and suddenly he was responsible for helping raise a young child. The transition could have been awkward or difficult, but Matt embraced fatherhood from day one. He later admitted that his entire life changed the moment he started dating Luciana. It wasn't just about having a romantic partner anymore. There was this little girl who needed love, attention, and stability. Matt said there was never really a choice to make. This was just how things were going to be, and he was genuinely happy about it. A lot of celebrity step-parents keep their distance from their partner's kids, but Matt took the complete opposite approach. He raised Alexia like she was his own flesh and blood. He didn't treat her any differently than he would later treat the 3 biological daughters he would have with Luciana. To him, Alexia was his daughter in every way that mattered. The fact that they didn't share DNA was completely irrelevant. Matt has always been pretty private about his personal life, which makes sense when you're one of the most famous actors in the world. He doesn't parade his family around for the cameras or post about them constantly on social media. But despite his desire for privacy, he has occasionally opened up about his relationship with Alexia over the years. From everything he's said, it's clear they developed an incredibly close bond. As Alexia grew up, Matt made sure she got to experience some of the cool perks that come with having a famous stepdad. When she was a preteen, he gave her a small role in one of his movies. It was a film called We Bought a Zoo that came out in 2011. Alexia appeared as a member of the zoo staff. It was just a tiny cameo, nothing major, but it must have been an amazing experience for a kid to be on a real movie set and see how films are made. The years flew by, and before Matt knew it, Alexia was growing into a teenager. This brought all the typical challenges that come with raising a teen. One of the big milestones was teaching her how to drive. Matt has talked about this experience in interviews, and you can tell he was proud of her. He mentioned that during the year before she got her license, Alexia would practice driving every single morning by taking the car to school. Matt would sit in the passenger seat and let her get behind the wheel so she could build up her confidence and skills. Eventually, all that practice paid off. Alexia passed her driving test and got her license. When Matt talked about this achievement with reporters, people said you could see the smile of a proud father on his face. It was one of those moments that might seem small to outsiders, but it meant everything to him. His little girl was growing up and reaching important milestones, and he got to be there for all of it. The relationship between Matt and Alexia has been described by people close to the family as genuinely loving and supportive. Matt never treated being a stepfather like it was some kind of burden or obligation. He fully committed to the role and gave Alexia the same love and attention any good father would give. For her part, Alexia seemed to embrace having Matt as her dad. She got to grow up in a stable, loving household with a father figure who genuinely cared about her well-being. Now that Alexia is all grown up, she's carved out her own life away from the Hollywood spotlight. Matt and Luciana raised her to be grounded and normal, despite the unusual circumstances of having a famous stepfather. She didn't grow up acting entitled or spoiled. Instead, she seems to have inherited her mother's down-to-earth personality and her stepfather's work ethic. Looking back, it's pretty remarkable how smoothly Matt transitioned into being a father figure for Alexia. A lot of people in his position might have struggled with instantly becoming a parent to someone else's child. But Matt never saw it as a sacrifice or a complication. He saw it as a blessing. Alexia was part of the package when he fell in love with Luciana, and he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. But Alexia wouldn't be Matt's only daughter for long. Just a year after he and Luciana got married, their family was about to grow even bigger. And this time, Matt was going to experience fatherhood from the very beginning, starting with late-night feedings and diaper changes. Isabella Damon, first biological daughter. On June 11, 2006, Matt Damon and Luciana Barroso welcomed their first daughter together. They named her Isabella, and her arrival made the family officially a household of 4. For Matt, this was a completely different experience than becoming a stepfather to Alexia. This time he was there from the very beginning, experiencing all the sleepless nights, dirty diapers, and tiny baby milestones that new parents go through. Becoming a biological father for the first time was a game changer for Matt. He had already gotten a taste of parenthood with Alexia, but having a newborn baby was a whole new level of responsibility. Everything suddenly revolved around this tiny little person who depended on him and Luciana for absolutely everything. Matt has said that becoming a dad was one of the best things that ever happened to him, even though it completely turned his world upside down. As Isabella grew from a baby into a toddler and then into a young girl, her personality really started to shine through. And it turns out that she inherited a pretty sharp sense of humor and wasn't afraid to use it on her famous father. Matt found out pretty quickly that having a daughter means having someone who will keep you humble, no matter how successful you are in your career. One of the funniest things about Isabella is that she became Matt's toughest critic when it comes to his movies. Most kids would be excited to watch their parents on the big screen, but Isabella took a completely different approach. Matt has talked about how she's very selective about which of his films she'll actually watch. The hilarious part is that she seems to actively avoid the ones that might actually be good. If she thinks one of his movies might be worth watching, she wants nothing to do with it. Matt shared this amusing detail during an appearance on a talk show, and you could tell he found the whole situation both funny and a little bit frustrating. Here he is, one of the most successful actors in Hollywood, and his own daughter won't even give his work a chance. It's the kind of thing that keeps celebrities grounded and reminds them that at home, they're just regular parents dealing with regular kid behavior. As Isabella entered her teenage years, Matt discovered that parenting gets significantly more challenging. He's been very open about how difficult it is to navigate the teen years, especially with daughters. When Isabella hit 15 years old, Matt admitted in interviews that he felt completely uncool around her. Nothing he did was right, and everything he said seemed to embarrass her. Any parent of a teenager can probably relate to this feeling. The worst part for Matt was that Isabella is actually hilarious, which made her criticisms even harder to take. He said she's one of the funniest people he knows, but she uses that humor to absolutely crush him on a regular basis. She had a quick wit, and wasn't afraid to call out her dad when he did something awkward or embarrassing. For someone who's used to being charming and well-liked in his professional life, coming home to a teenage daughter who thinks you're the most uncool person alive must have been quite the adjustment. Despite the typical teenage attitude and eye rolls, Matt has made it clear that he cherishes his relationship with Isabella. He understands that pushing away from parents is a normal part of growing up and becoming independent. It's what teenagers are supposed to do, even if it's painful for the parents going through it. The pandemic that hit in 2020 actually gave Matt some unexpected quality time with Isabella. Normally, a 15-year-old girl would be spending more time with friends and less time with family. She'd be out doing her own thing, establishing her independence and pulling away from her parents. But the lockdowns meant everyone was stuck at home together, and Matt admitted that on a selfish level, he was kind of happy about it. He got to spend way more time with Isabella during a period when she probably would have been avoiding him under normal circumstances. They had family dinners together every night, watched movies, and just hung out in ways that wouldn't have happened if life had continued as usual. Matt recognized that this was a silver lining to an otherwise difficult time for everyone. Now that Isabella is older, Matt has had to accept that his little girl is growing up fast. The baby he held in his arms back in 2006 is now practically an adult with her own opinions, interests, and personality. It's bittersweet for any parent to watch their kids grow up, but Matt seems to be handling it with grace and humor. But while Matt was adjusting to life with a sharp-tongued teenage daughter who found him deeply uncool, his family wasn't done expanding yet. Just 2 years after Isabella was born, another little girl was about to join the Damon household and add even more chaos to their already busy lives. Gia Damon, third daughter. On August 20th, 2008, the Damon family welcomed their third daughter into the world. They named her Gia, and just like that, Matt found himself living in a house with 4 females. Between Luciana, Alexia, Isabella, and now baby Gia, Matt was officially outnumbered. When reporters asked him how it felt to be surrounded by girls at home, his response was simple and heartfelt. He said it was great, really great, and you could tell he genuinely meant it. A lot of guys might feel overwhelmed or wish they had at least one son to balance things out, but Matt never seemed to feel that way. He embraced being a girl dad from the start and never complained about being the only male in the household. If anything, he seemed to thrive in the chaos and energy that came with raising daughters. Each girl brought her own unique personality to the family, and Matt loved every minute of it. By the time Gia was born, Matt had already been a father for several years. He knew what to expect with a newborn baby, at least somewhat. But every child is different, and Gia brought her own set of challenges and joys. Matt was now juggling 3 kids of different ages, all with different needs and schedules. Alexia was getting older and more independent, Isabella was a toddler full of energy, and Gia was a brand new baby who needed constant attention. One of the biggest challenges Matt faced was balancing his Hollywood career with his growing family. Being a major movie star means traveling for months at a time to film on location. It means long hours on set, promotional tours, press interviews, and all sorts of commitments that take you away from home. For someone who values family as much as Matt does, this created a real conflict. Matt has never been the type of actor who's willing to sacrifice everything for his career. Unlike some celebrities who prioritize fame and success above all else, Matt made it clear early on that his family came first. He was willing to turn down roles or take extended breaks from acting if it meant being there for his wife and daughters. This wasn't just talk either. He actually followed through on it. Around the time Gia was born, Matt made a big decision. He announced that he would be taking the rest of 2008 off from work. No new movies, no filming schedules, no promotional tours. He was just going to hang out with his family and be a present father and husband. For someone at the peak of their career, this was a pretty bold move. Most actors in his position would want to capitalize on their success and take every opportunity that came their way. But Matt saw things differently. Luciana was pregnant with Gia at the time he made this announcement, and he wanted to be there for every moment. He didn't want to miss the birth or the early months of his daughter's life because he was off filming some movie. Those were precious moments he could never get back, and no amount of money or fame was worth missing them. When reporters asked Matt about the new baby before Gia was born, he revealed something interesting. He and Luciana hadn't decided on a name yet. They were going to wait until she was born, take a good look at her, and then figure out what to call her. This approach might seem unusual to some people who spend months carefully selecting the perfect name, but Matt and Luciana wanted to meet their daughter first. They figured they'd probably keep debating names even after she arrived, until they found one that felt just right. Eventually, they settled on Gia, and it suited her perfectly. The name has Italian origins and means bringer of joy, which seemed fitting for a child who brought so much happiness to the family. With Gia's arrival, the Damon household became even livelier and more chaotic, but in the best possible way. Matt's decision to prioritize family time over career advancement really showed what kind of person he was. In Hollywood, where ego and ambition often rule, Matt stood out as someone who had his priorities straight. He understood that his daughters would only be young once, and he didn't want to look back years later and regret missing important moments because he was too focused on work. Taking time off to be with his family also allowed Matt to be a hands-on father. He wasn't the type of dad who left all the parenting to his wife while he focused on his career. He changed diapers, did middle-of-the-night feedings, and dealt with all the exhausting but rewarding aspects of raising young children. He was fully present and engaged, which made all the difference. But even with 3 daughters keeping him incredibly busy, Matt and Luciana weren't quite done building their family yet. In just 2 more years, another little girl would arrive and complete their family of 6, bringing even more love and chaos into their already full household. Stella Damon, youngest daughter. On October 20th, 2010, the final piece of the Damon family puzzle arrived. Matt and Luciana welcomed their 4th daughter, Stella, into the world. With her birth, the family officially became a household of 6 people. Matt now had 4 daughters to look after, and his life was about to get even more hectic than it already was. When Matt talked to reporters about Stella's arrival, he was honest about how challenging things had become. He joked that he had learned a valuable lesson about parenting 4 kids. If you decide not to sleep, you suddenly pick up all these extra hours in the day. It was his way of saying that life with a newborn baby plus 3 other daughters meant sleep was pretty much a luxury he couldn't afford anymore. Matt described the situation as relentless, but he was quick to point out that he meant that in a good way. Sure, he was exhausted and running on very little rest, but he wouldn't have traded it for anything. Every sleepless night and every chaotic morning was worth it, because he got to be a father to these 4 amazing girls. The tiredness was temporary, but the memories and relationships he was building with his daughters would last forever. Having 4 children didn't just make things a little bit busier for Matt and Luciana, it completely changed the entire family dynamic. In an interview, Matt explained that it had been pretty crazy when Stella arrived. She came a couple of weeks early, which caught them slightly off guard, even though they'd been through this 3 times before. Matt pointed out that while they had experience with babies, adding a fourth child created a whole new dynamic that they had to figure out. Going from 3 kids to 4 might not seem like a huge jump, but it really does change everything. Suddenly, the parents are outnumbered 2 to 1. Keeping track of 4 different schedules, 4 different sets of needs, and 4 different personalities requires serious organizational skills and teamwork. Matt and Luciana had to adjust to this new reality and find ways to make sure each daughter got the attention and love she deserved. Stella's birth also marked a significant milestone for Matt personally. He decided to commemorate his 4 daughters by getting tattoos in their honor. Each tattoo represented one of his girls, a permanent reminder of the 4 people who had completely changed his life. For someone who values family as much as Matt does, these tattoos were more than just ink on skin. They were a symbol of his commitment and love for his daughters. Despite all the challenges and the relentless schedule that came with raising 4 kids, Matt maintained that he wouldn't want his life any other way. He talked about how different his life had become since meeting Luciana and starting a family. But he couldn't imagine what his life would be like if he hadn't gone down that road. He didn't even want to imagine it. This statement really captures how Matt feels about fatherhood. Before meeting Luciana, he was a successful actor with fame and fortune, but something was missing. His daughters filled that void in ways he never expected. They gave his life meaning and purpose beyond anything Hollywood could offer. The awards, the acclaim, the box office success, all paled in comparison to the joy he got from being a dad. Stella's arrival completed the Damon family in the most perfect way. She was the youngest, the baby of the family, and she would grow up with 3 older sisters to look after her and show her the ropes. Matt now had his hands full with 4 daughters at various stages of childhood, from Alexia, who was becoming a young woman, to baby Stella, who was just starting her journey. The household was loud, chaotic, and probably a little messy most of the time. But it was also filled with love, laughter, and the kind of family bonds that money can't buy. Matt had gone from being a bachelor movie star to a husband and father of 4, and the transformation suited him perfectly. Now, with his family complete, Matt faced a new challenge that would define his approach to parenting for years to come. How do you raise 4 daughters in the age of social media and constant public attention while keeping them grounded, protected, and as normal as possible? Balancing fame and fatherhood. Matt Damon has spent years trying to find the perfect balance between being a Hollywood superstar and being a devoted father to his 4 daughters. It's not an easy task when you're one of the most recognizable faces in the world. Every time he steps outside, there's a chance someone will recognize him, take his photo, or ask for an autograph. But Matt has worked hard to make sure his daughters can grow up as normally as possible despite their unusual circumstances. One of the ways he's protected his family is by keeping them out of the spotlight as much as he can. Unlike some celebrities who constantly post about their kids on social media or bring them to every red carpet event, Matt has taken the opposite approach. He rarely shares photos of his daughters publicly and doesn't talk about them in detail during interviews unless it's relevant. This level of privacy has allowed Alexia, Isabella, Gia, and Stella to have relatively normal childhoods. Matt has also made sure his daughters stay grounded despite having a famous father. He and Luciana have raised them to understand that fame and fortune don't make someone better than anyone else. The girls weren't spoiled with excessive luxury or treated like celebrities themselves. Instead, they were taught the values of hard work, kindness, and staying humble. Looking at Matt's journey from that night in a Miami nightclub to becoming a father of 4, it's clear that meeting Luciana was the best thing that ever happened to him. She brought love, stability, and purpose into his life. Together, they've built a beautiful family based on mutual respect, devotion, and unconditional love. Matt often says that his greatest role isn't any character he's played on screen. It's being a husband to Luciana and a father to Alexia, Isabella, Gia, and Stella. These 5 women have shaped him into the man he is today, and he's grateful for every chaotic, exhausting, wonderful moment they've shared together. At the end of the day, Matt Damon isn't just a movie star. He's a family man who found his happily ever after behind a bar in Miami. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.